Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. We are going to be looking at human intelligence
Mm.
today.
Oh.
We've got some really interesting academic excerpts to go through.
Mhm.
It's all about a theory of multiple
Oh,
intelligences.
that's fascinating.
And by the end of this deep dive, you should be able to see like all your own strengths
Right.
and the world around you
Yeah.
in a whole new way.
It's really about going beyond like just a single IQ number,
Right?
and appreciating all the amazing things that make us human.
Okay, so this idea of multiple intelligences,
Yeah.
it challenges the traditional idea that intelligence is just one thing, right?
Exactly.
It's not just a single bucket.
It's more like a toolbox.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So we've got all these different tools,
Right.
and some of us are better at using some tools than others.
Exactly.
So instead of just like a high or low IQ,
Mhm.
we might be really strong in linguistic intelligence or
Yeah.
musical intelligence or
Right.
spatial intelligence.
Exactly. And the theory actually goes on to describe quite a few different distinct types of intelligence.
Okay.
For example, someone with like really good linguistic intelligence,
Yes.
they might be a really great writer or speaker
Oh, yeah.
or even a debater.
Mm-hmm.
They're really good at using language to communicate
Yeah.
or persuade or even to create.
Like a lawyer making a really good argument,
Absolutely.
or a poet writing beautiful words.
Yeah, it's a really powerful type of intelligence.
And then there's musical intelligence,
Yes.
which is all about like rhythm and pitch and melody.
Exactly.
So it's composers and musicians,
Right.
or even people who can just tap their foot to any beat.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
It is.
All these different intelligences. I mean, it just makes you think about how differently our brains are wired. But is it all about our genes?
Oh, that's a good question.
Or does our environment have something to do with it too?
Well, that's one of the most interesting parts of this theory.
Okay.
It really stresses nature and nurture.
Huh.
So yeah, we might be predisposed to some things,
Yeah.
but our experiences, our culture, even how we were raised,
Right.
all of that contributes to how our intelligences actually develop.
So it's not like a set thing.
Not at all.
We can get better at these different intelligences over time.
Absolutely.
Wow.
The brain is so adaptable,
Mhm.
you can think of it like a muscle.
Okay.
The more you use it,
Yeah.
the stronger it gets.
Okay.
Just like you wouldn't use the same exercises to train for a marathon
Uh-huh.
as you would for weightlifting.
Right.
Different activities
Yeah.
will stimulate different types of intelligence.
So if I play a musical instrument,
Yes.
that might boost my musical intelligence.
Exactly.
But if I learn a new language, that might make my linguistic skills better.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the research actually goes into some really fascinating detail
Okay.
about how our brains adapt at like a cellular level.
Wow.
Like studies have shown that the density of synapses,
What are synapses?
the connections between brain cells,
Oh, okay.
that they actually change throughout our lives.
Wait, so our brains are rewiring themselves kind of
Wait.
based on what we experience?
In a sense, yes. And here's another really cool thing from the research.
Okay.
They found that if you remove one eye
Wow.
of an animal at birth,
Okay.
the development of brain cells
Yeah.
in the remaining eye
Uh-huh.
actually changes.
That's wild.
It really shows how responsive and adaptable our brains are to our environment.
So our brains are always evolving,
Yeah.
shaped by our genes and our experiences.
Right.
But how does culture play into all of this?
That is a great question.
I mean, do different cultures value certain intelligences more than others?
That's something the research looks into quite deeply, actually.
Oh,
Because you see the different cultures have different ways of looking at the world, different ways of learning,
uh-huh.
and even different ways of valuing intelligence.
So a skill that might be considered super intelligent in one culture might not be as important in another.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
For instance, the research compares the navigational skills
Yep.
of a Pulawatt sailor
Mm-hmm.
in the Pacific Ocean
Okay.
with the linguistic skills
Yeah.
of a Quranic student.
So the Pulawatt sailor uses spatial intelligence
Right.
and bodily-kinesthetic intelligence
Yeah.
to navigate by the stars and the ocean.
Exactly.
And the Quranic student develops amazing linguistic intelligence
Yes.
through memorizing and reciting sacred texts.
You got it.
Wow.
It really shows how cultural practices can shape
Yeah,
the development of specific intelligences.
that's fascinating.
And it makes you wonder, are we unintentionally limiting ourselves by only focusing on certain types of intelligence?
And ignoring others.
Exactly.
Especially like in Western cultures.
Yeah.
Where we always put so much emphasis on like logical mathematical intelligence,
Right.
and measure success with standardized tests?
Are we missing out on other kinds of brilliance?
That's a good question.
It is something to think about.
Yeah, it really is.
And it actually brings us to another important concept in the theory.
Okay.
Symbol systems.
Symbol systems.
Humans use symbols
Okay.
like language,
Yeah.
music,
Mm-hmm.
or even mathematical equations
Okay.
to express and develop their intelligences.
So a young Islamic scholar
Yeah.
learns by memorizing and reciting the Quran,
Right.
and develops sophisticated linguistic abilities
Right.
because they're immersed in a specific symbol system,
Exactly.
the language and structure of the Quran.
That's right.
Okay.
And a composer uses musical notation,
Right.
another symbol system,
Okay.
to turn the music in their mind
Yeah.
into something others can understand and play.
Like each symbol system is
Yeah.
its own language.
It is.
It's a different way of encoding and expressing intelligence.
You got it. And once you see the power of these symbol systems,
Mm-hmm.
it can help you unlock your own potential
Yeah.
and appreciate all the different types of intelligence around us.
That's really cool.
It is.
You know, this is making me think about my own learning.
Uh,
I was always drawn to writing and storytelling,
yeah.
but I also loved to dance.
Interesting.
I never really thought of them as connected,
Mm-hmm.
but now I realize
Yeah.
they both tap into different intelligences,
Me too.
linguistic and bodily kinesthetic.
And you know what?
Yeah.
They probably complement each other.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe your love of language helps you express yourself better through dance.
Oh, that's interesting.
Or maybe the way you move your body while dancing gives you new ideas for your writing.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
It's like I'm seeing all these connections in my
Yeah.
own brain.
It is fascinating.
But I do have a question.
Okay.
If different cultures value different intelligences,
Yeah.
are there any skills that are like universally valued?
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
And actually, the research does touch on this. When it looks at the impact of literacy,
Okay.
schooling,
Yeah.
and the scientific method
Okay.
on how we understand intelligence.
Those are pretty much like the foundations
They
of
are.
modern education.
Right, at least in the West.
Yeah, exactly. So how has all of that
Yeah.
shaped how we see intelligence?
Well, the research found something pretty interesting.
What's that?
People who have gone to school,
Mm-hmm.
they tend to do better
Okay.
than those who haven't
Yeah.
on tasks that involve analyzing language
Okay.
or solving problems strategically
Right.
or coming up with solutions on the spot.
I mean, that makes sense, right?
It does.
I mean, school basically drills those skills into us.
Yeah.
We learn to analyze, break down arguments, and use logic to find solutions.
Exactly.
But does that mean
Right.
schooling gives us like an intelligence advantage?
I wouldn't say advantage.
Okay.
It's more like
Yeah.
it gives us a very specific skill set.
Yeah.
School definitely hones certain tools.
Yeah.
But it does make you wonder, are we ignoring other types of intelligence?
Right, because we focus so much on
Yeah,
literacy and scientific thinking.
exactly.
Well, what about the people
Yeah.
who are amazing at spatial thinking,
Right.
the artists,
Yeah,
the musicians, the athletes?
exactly.
Are their intelligences less important?
That's a valid concern.
No.
And it's a big reason
Well.
why this theory is so controversial.
Okay.
It forces us to really think about what intelligence is
Right.
and how we measure it.
So maybe instead of always relying on IQ tests and standardized exams,
Yeah,
we should look at a broader range
I agree.
of abilities and talent.
Think about it.
Yeah.
A sailor who can navigate by the stars,
Mm-hmm.
that's incredible spatial intelligence.
Right.
And bodily kinesthetic intelligence.
Yeah.
A musician who can improvise a melody on the spot,
Wow.
that's musical intelligence and a deep understanding of music.
Yeah.
These are all amazing forms of brilliance,
Right.
just as valuable as solving a math problem
Huh.
or writing a persuasive essay.
It's like we need a new definition
We do.
of what it means to be smart.
Exactly. And this leads to something else the research talks about,
Okay.
how different cultures pass on knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
For example, in cultures without writing,
Yeah.
learning happens within everyday life.
Yeah.
The research mentions a young Pulawat sailor.
Okay.
They learn to navigate,
Mhm.
not by reading books and charts,
Right.
but by watching and doing.
Wow.
They learn by observing skilled navigators,
Mm-hmm.
feeling the currents and winds, studying the stars.
That's so different
It is.
from sitting in a classroom and learning from books and lectures.
It is a different way of learning.
But they can both be effective, right?
Absolutely.
It just depends
Yeah.
what the goals are
Right.
and what the culture values.
Exactly. There's so many ways
Yeah.
to learn and gain knowledge.
And each one shapes the brain differently.
It does. The research also talks about
Okay.
the importance of mentors.
Mentors.
In traditional learning,
Yeah.
the bond between a master and apprentice is crucial for passing down knowledge.
Like a young Islamic scholar learning from a teacher
Yeah,
while memorizing the Quran,
Great.
or a musician learning from a master.
exactly.
It's more than just learning skills. It's
Yeah.
about belonging, purpose, and tradition.
It really is those mentors.
Mm-hmm.
They play such an important role
Yeah,
in developing someone's intelligence.
that's really cool.
It is.
You know, this is making me realize intelligence isn't just about what's happening inside our heads.
Right.
It's also about our connections,
Yeah.
our culture, and how we express our understanding.
You got it.
It's like we're all part
Yeah.
of this giant network of
Yeah.
knowledge and experience.
And when we see that
Yeah.
and value all the different kinds of intelligence,
Yeah.
we make the world a better place.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
It is.
It's like we're all weaving together this tapestry of intelligence.
Exactly.
Wow, this deep dive has been so interesting.
Yeah, it really makes you think.
I feel like I'm seeing everything in a new way.
That's the power of this
Yeah,
theory.
like we've been exploring this whole world of human potential.
And we've only just started.
Right. It really makes you question everything you thought you knew about intelligence.
And it shows us just how diverse human abilities really are.
It makes you wonder, though, if intelligence is so much more than IQ.
Yeah.
How should we be approaching education and personal growth?
That's a huge question.
Yeah.
And a really important one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we know that intelligence is multifaceted,
Yeah.
shouldn't we be teaching and learning in a way that reflects that?
So instead of just focusing on like math and reading, we should also be encouraging creativity
Absolutely.
and emotional intelligence
Yeah.
and spatial thinking and physical skills and even like connecting with others.
Exactly. Imagine a world where schools actually celebrated all these different types of intelligence,
That would be amazing.
where every kid could discover their own unique strengths and passions.
It'd be so beneficial,
It would.
not just for the students,
Yeah.
but for society as a whole.
We'd have a generation of people
Yeah.
who are not only smart,
Right.
but also creative and adaptable.
It's empathetic.
Exactly.
Think of all the problems we could solve.
I know, it's exciting to think about.
Yeah, and all the amazing things we could create.
If we just tapped into all that potential.
You know, I've heard that saying,
Look at
that everyone is a genius at something.
Yeah.
I used to think it was just like a cheesy saying, but now I think it might actually be true.
I think so too.
Maybe we all have this unique mix of intelligences
Right.
just waiting to be discovered.
That's what's so cool about this theory.
Yeah.
It helps us see ourselves and others in a totally new way
It's like it gives us permission to embrace what makes us unique.
and celebrate those differences.
Exactly. So to everyone listening out there,
Yes.
here's a little challenge for you.
Okay.
Think about your own blend of intelligences.
What are you good at?
Yeah. What are you naturally drawn
What
to?
makes you feel alive?
And what experiences have shaped who you are today?
And remember,
Yeah.
intelligence isn't set in stone.
Right.
You can always learn and grow.
That's a good reminder.
So never stop exploring and never stop learning.
And never stop diving deep.
Exactly, because when we embrace all the different kinds of intelligence,
Yeah.
we create a world
Mm-hmm.
that is so much richer and more vibrant.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
It was a pleasure.
Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.